What's up, everyone? Marc here, and welcome to The Blueprint, which is a series running on Behind the Human. It's a limited 7-part series with roughly 10-minute episodes, each designed to build one real piece of your mental fitness blueprint. So last week, the last episode, I should say, you named your outcome and the supporting intention or energetic intention behind that outcome. So what you're building and how you want to feel building it. Today, we get into how your specific wiring shows up when the pressure's on. Quick disclaimer before we start, what I'm about to walk you through isn't a personality test. It doesn't type you or doesn't label you. It's a reflection of the dominant strategy your mind is currently leaning on in this specific season, under your current conditions. Now, the blueprint that I built that has a bunch of tech and models surrounding it, it figures this out by looking at all 7 of your pillar scores. So remember, your stress score, your clarity, adaptability, sleep. And it takes all of those scores plus your blockers and what already helps you restore your mind. And it takes all of that into account to start formulating which mental pattern or operating pattern you're in. So that's a little bit more intensive than what I can fully replicate, obviously, in 10 minutes and manually. But that being said, you're going to get some good data and some insight to build off of, and that you can work with this information, and even just going through and slowing down to think like, okay, this really resonates with me, or this part does, this part doesn't. It just gives you insight, information, and then you can make different decisions based on that data. Okay, so I'm going to kind of like rapid fire in a way, go through the 6 patterns that at least I've identified. And for each of them, I'm going to give you a natural strength, how it also can distort under pressure, and what tends to restore it. You're listening for recognition. It's not a perfect match. You might see yourself in 2 or 3 of these. That's totally normal. Just find what's most dominant for you right now. Now, just a suggestion, you can do whatever you'd like, of course, but I would suggest that you listen to all 6 really quickly as I'm going through them. And as it feels like, okay, yeah, that's me, just write down that pattern. And then you can go back or take a look at the transcript and see the actual words behind it and do another review and be like, okay, actually, it's probably the one I would really pick would be this one after going through another pass as an example. Okay, number 1, strategic processor. Your strength is turning complexity into order. You analyze, spot patterns, and build a logical path forward. Under real pressure, that can show up as overanalysis, decision delay, or trying to manufacture certainty before you move. What tends to restore this? Get out of your head and onto paper. Time box your research and make one small reversible move before you feel certain. Second one, adaptive responder. Your strength is reading changing conditions fast and adjusting resourcefully. Under real pressure, that can show up as urgency, reactive pivoting, or over-adapting to everyone else's needs. What tends to restore this? Stop taking in new information for a while. Get back into your body. Movement, breathe, real sleep, and pick one stable priority to hold onto. Number 3, internal collaborator. Your strength is deep reflection, checking decisions against your values and your gut. Under pressure, that can show up as rumination, self-doubt, driven overthinking, or endless internal checking that turns into procrastination. What tends to restore this? Journal it out. Put a hard limit on how long you reflect, then take one visible action. Number 4, internal integrator. Your strength is finding clarity through conversation and connecting other people's perspectives. Under real pressure, that can show up as fragmentation, too many voices, scattered commitments. What tends to restore this? 1 or 2 real conversations instead of 10 opinions, then alone time to integrate what's surface and writing down what's still true after the noise settles. Number 5, focus executor. Your strength is locking in and converting priorities into action. Under real pressure, that can show up as tunnel vision or rigid persistence, pushing through when you actually need to stop. What tends to restore this? Fewer competing priorities, scheduled recovery before you hit collapse, and protecting time with people who matter. And the last one, number 6, rhythmic regulator. Your strength is building stability through routine, cadence, and rhythm. Under real pressure, that can show up as a dysregulation when your routine breaks, start-stop effort, or withdrawal. What tends to restore this? Consistent sleep and wake times, small repeatable daily anchors, and a gradual re-entry, not a dramatic reset. Okay, 2 things worth knowing. First, your pattern and how it distorts under pressure are 2 separate things. They're not a fixed pair. A focus executor might show tunnel vision this season and something totally different next season, depending on what's actually going on for them. So don't lock yourself into one story about how you break under pressure. Just notice it when it happens. Second, the restoration ideas I just gave you are a starting menu. They're not designed to be a full prescription. 2 people with the exact same pattern can need different things depending on their actual sleep, their actual stress load, what's already worked for them. The full blueprint also gives you something called your operating range, whether you're currently expanded, stable, narrowed, but recoverable, or narrowed and strained, which shapes how much of your usual capacity you actually have access to right now. That's a layer I can't fully replicate by hand today, but it's worth knowing it exists if you go through the full exercise. So here's your one job. Pick the pattern that's most dominant for you right now and write down one thing that you know or that I mentioned about what restores that pattern, something that you'll actually try this week. Pick that one restorative practice or action. And that's it. Just keep it simple. But just know that going through this reflection, just by doing the flow, the exercise, most people don't do this and they have no idea what pattern is running their mind. It may not be perfect, but I'm willing to bet that you have some good data to work with. And having gone through this process myself a ton of times, what happens is you start to catch yourself. You start to catch the patterns in the moment, and then you give yourself the luxury of the pause to course correct with the practice. For the next episode number 4, we are going to jump into that very thing of the practice. And we will take your pattern and start building out your actual practice stack. The practice and rituals you'll do daily and weekly for the next 90 days, plus how to design what you're feeding your mind while you're doing that, i.e. what I call mental nutrition. Now, if you want to skip the building part of this manually, then you can head over to blueprint.mchampagne.com. The blueprint builds this automatically for you, all your numbers, your operating pattern, your practices, the protocols, your daily questions, and so forth. And we'll spit that out in around 15 minutes after you go through your intake process. Make sure if you do go over there, make sure to use the coupon code POD50, POD50, that will give you 50% off while this series is running. All right, we'll see you for the next episode to build the practice stack. This is a fun one.